So in today's video, we are going to compare the 2012 Frankenbook MacBook Pro to a Lenovo Thinkpad, and we're going to try to determine which of these is better. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to represent the Lenovo Thinkpad, and I'm going to argue on its behalf.
And I am going to represent the Frankenbook and argue on its behalf, because it probably can't argue for itself.
I was really dumb.
I don't know.
That's fine, we're leaving it in.
Alright.
It's just an embarrassment to you. It doesn't reflect on me at all.
Okay.
Go check out Noah's channel for more embarrassing missteps and mistakes.
It's a goddamn mess.
That should be your banner. Should just say Noah Rubin. It's a goddamn mess. Okay, so the reason why I've picked this particular ThinkPad to compare to the Frankenbook is because these two have the exact same processor. And actually very similar graphics. So let's start by running through the specs. Do you know the specs of this guy, or do you want me to say it?
I'll let you take that one.
Okay. All right. So the Frankenbook has, well, actually both of them have a Core i7 3720QM. That's a 2.6 gigahertz quad-core hyper-threaded i7. This guy has NVIDIA GT 650M graphics with 1 gigabyte of VRAM. And this actually has Quadro graphics. They're K1000M with 2 gigabytes of VRAM. However, these graphics are actually based off of the consumer-grade GT 630, so they're not quite as powerful as these. Neither of these things are gaming PCs. I think that's pretty fair to say. So the rest of the specs, this thing has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it also has a 240 gigabyte solid-state drive. And that's where the Lenovo really shines, because this thing has a 480 gigabyte SSD, and it also has, are you ready?
I'm ready.
32 gigabytes of RAM.
I'll give you the RAM.
I have 4 times as much RAM.
I mean, this thing takes what, 16 max?
16 max, yeah.
All right, but the SSD, come on, you can put whatever SSD in whatever computer.
Yes, but here's the thing.
Okay.
This computer, if you were watching the channel, you know, this computer cost me about $350. Realistically, though, $400, $450 is what these things go for. Whereas this ThinkPad costs $250. It's almost $200 cheaper.
Well, you get what you pay for.
Which is more RAM. I mean, RAM per dollar, this is very good.
Okay.
You can't argue with that. You literally cannot argue with that.
That's one spec of many.
The only advantage this computer has is slightly better graphics. I have more storage, more RAM, less expensiveness, money, cost, and the same processor.
Well, it is a Mac, and Macs, I would say the Macs tend to run better when they're old than PCs do. I feel like this Mac could still hold its own against an older PC that may be a little bit more powerful.
Well, in support of your point, let's run through some of the benchmarks, because while these two computers have the exact same processor, they don't perform the same, which is surprising. It's not entirely unexpected, mind you, because obviously we have different cooling solutions. Geekbench 4. The ThinkPad scores 12,189. The MacBook Pro scores 12,752.
Ooh.
Not a huge difference, but the MacBook Pro definitely does win. So then if we go to Cinebench, it's actually a bit of a larger gap here. So the ThinkPad scores 1,294. The MacBook scores 1,357. You are getting slightly better performance out of the MacBook Pro, even with the same processor. However, it's not all sunshine and roses, because it's not just, you know, a processor that gets stuck in a laptop and a fan to cool it. There is a lot of stuff that goes on with Apple's fan curve, the way they control the heat, the way the fans kick in. So what I noticed was, as soon as I started running Cinebench on the ThinkPad, the fans kicked in. The MacBook Pro waited a good amount into the test. It waited until it reached the T-junction of 100 Celsius to start the fans. Now, both of these computers reached the T-junction. So it's not that the ThinkPad was cooling more effectively, it still reached 100 degrees Celsius. And they both were running at 3.4 gigahertz turbo speeds. So they were both running at the same speeds, both at the same temperature. ThinkPad took longer to get there, and also the ThinkPad would dip down to like 3.3 quite frequently. So that, I think, explains why the MacBook Pro scored higher, but both of them were still running a little bit hot. How do you explain the increase in price? Almost $200. What is that going to get me if I go for the MacBook?
Well, first of all, I mean, if you want a Mac, they're generally going to cost a little bit more. And like I said before, I think that they generally run better than PCs of the same age. But also, can we just compare like the aesthetic, the physical appearance of the computers, please?
I will grant you that the ThinkPad, I don't think it's ugly per se, but it's not designed to be attractive, if that makes sense. This is utilitarian.
It's also really thick.
Okay, yeah. Well, it is very thick, but look, let's go through the ports actually.
Okay.
What are the ports on your computer? And then I'll tell you what the ports are on mine.
All right, I'm not looking, but I'm going to see if I remember when I had it. So we have the MagSafe charger.
Yeah.
There's a FireWire 800 port or something.
800? You're in the wrong order.
Okay, there's Ethernet.
Okay.
Then FireWire.
Yep, FireWire.
Then Thunderbolt 1.
Thunderbolt 1, yep.
Then you have 2 USB ports.
Yeah.
And they're USB 2.
3.
Oh, they are 3.
They are 3 on the 2012.
And then SD card reader.
Yeah.
And then you have the 2 audio jacks.
Yep, line in, line out. Very good. Allow me to walk you through the ports.
Go ahead.
On the ThinkPad, if I can name all of them. So I have a port that says 1394. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what that is, but it has it. Then you've got
That's
a
like
USB.
FireWire 400, I think.
Is it FireWire 400?
FireWire.
Oh, you were right. USB 2, then 2 USB 3s,
Okay.
VGA, we all need that,
Ugh.
mini display port, fan exhaust, DC input on the back here, another USB port, that's 4 total for those of you counting along at home, Kensington lock, which by the way we do have on the MacBook Pro, whatever,
Yes.
Then Ethernet, then the headphone microphone combo jack, SD card reader, and I'm blanking on the name. What are these?
Express
what is
card?
Express? I don't think it's an express card. I don't know. A big
Whatever it
long
is,
port.
No one uses it.
Yeah. Maybe business people use it. There's a lot of stuff like the VGA port. This might be confusing. I mean, this thing's from 2012, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But even more recent business laptops often have VGA ports, and that's because a lot of business, like projectors and stuff, still use VGA. They do both have a CD drive,
It's very important.
which is, yeah, it's extremely important. Construction equipment outside, I think it probably picked that up. Okay, it's definitely going to pick that up.
What happened to this?
I don't know.
That's so sad.
I don't know. It does have. It was. The top of this computer was. One other area where I have you beat is in the display. This is a 1080p panel, and it's a very good panel. It's got good viewing angles.
Oh yeah.
Not so much vertically, but like, oh my god, is that really not gonna stop? The side-to-side viewing angles, yeah, that's picking up on camera. Really solid. Really solid. So this is 1080p. This is 1440 by 900. These pre-Retina displays, they were fine at the time, but it's hard to go back. It's really hard to go back.
I will give you that one because the pre-Retina displays, it's just too pixelated for me. I'll be honest with you.
And you're only very recent to the Retina game. When did you get your first Retina MacBook?
It was a 2017 model year, right? So it was in like June of 2017, I think.
The hardware, not the specs, but the physical design has held up really well.
Oh yeah.
This is an 11-year-old design. Came out in mid-2008 was when the unibody was introduced. I think it still looks pretty good.
I agree.
I think it looks excellent. It's a little thick, but then again, I'm not really one to talk.
Yeah.
Because this is a big guy. I think it's over an inch. It's like an inch and a quarter, something like that. Yeah, especially because you've got like this nice double barrel battery on the back, which is a really cool look. But think about it though, this way. This is utilitarian here. This is designed to take a beating, right? Like I don't know what you could do to it, but this, it just soaks it up. It does not even care. And also, I may not have a backlit keyboard, but this is one of those Lenovo's with the spill-resistant keyboards.
Oh.
So what you've got here is the keyboard is sort of waterproofed a little bit, not completely, like you couldn't just kind of dunk it in a bathtub or something. But it's got these little holes on the bottom. Let's see, there's one. So if you spill something, there's another one. Then the water just drains out the bottom. You won't ruin your computer.
It's nice. I'll give you that one. Do we have like a guarantee it'll drain, or you get a new computer?
No.
I don't know. Do you trust it? Do you trust it?
That's a good
trust it
question.
enough to spill? There's no drink.
There's no drink.
To
right now.
drink, to spill something on it right now on camera for the viewers.
I'll be honest, I don't feel
me
comfortable
neither.
doing that. I've heard good things about it.
Okay.
On like forums, in the comment section, I've heard that it works, but I don't want to test it.
Okay, fair enough. I took my iPhone 4 in the pool.
Oh, that's right.
And
it survived?
It survived for a long time, and then it died. My sister took it out in the rain or something, and then it died.
What a shame.
But it was like years later.
And those aren't even, they didn't even try to be waterproof back then.
Yeah, that's right.
That was like, sneeze on it and it would die. And you somehow managed to go swimming with it.
Okay.
So you think of an argument why this is the better computer.
Okay.
And I'll think of an argument of why this is the better
This
computer.
thing sells itself.
How so?
Just look at it.
It is pretty.
Okay.
I'll give you that. It's
I'm
pretty.
doing my argument now.
Yeah, give your argument.
Okay. So for a relatively smaller amount of money compared to getting a new computer. Now it's more than that one. Maybe you got lucky with this one. Maybe you got lucky with this one. I don't know. But I'll agree that this probably costs more. But for that, you do get a design. I would say this design still looks pretty modern. It's a little bit thicker than, it's definitely thicker than you'd see, but it's definitely a modern design. You get Mac OS, which a lot of people would say is a benefit. I would say that it would probably tend to run better than a similarly spec'd PC. It's honestly a solid computer. And if it were my main computer, which a similar one was for a long time, I was very happy with it. And even today, it still holds up.
And your computer was actually what the Frankenbook used to be. This was the early 2011 base model, which is the exact one you had.
Right, so that was what it was. Mine was a 2 gigahertz processor. Okay. This was a good computer to me, or I had a slightly worse one, but it was a very good one to me, and it would be a very good one to you.
Never
as
mind,
well.
the graphics failed. What was it, 3 times?
But Apple fixed it for free, and
Yeah.
it was fun to
have a bad computer.
It was
that
fun
breaks.
to go there, and it was all shiny with different colors and graphics.
Oh, when it was
failures.
failing? Oh, yeah. By the 3rd time, it was a little bit tiring.
They don't fix them anymore, do they?
No, that program ended in I think it was the beginning of 2017 or the end of 2016. Oh my god.
Does this one have the potentially failing graphics in it?
No. This is the mid-20... Oh my god. What are they doing?
Now they're just trying to spite us.
So, this is the mid-2012. This is one of the most solidly reliable MacBooks you will find. The 2011s are terrible, but the 2012, especially the unibodies, are bulletproof.
Okay, so stay away from the 2011s, but
Bulletproof.
solid computer.
And as far as I know, this ThinkPad is equally bulletproof.
All right, well, I rest
And it
my
might be
case.
literally bulletproof. I mean, look at this. You could put this in a plate carrier, and just you go around and be like.
Should we test it?
My argument is very simple. This is better value.
Do you care to elaborate on that?
I would. Thank you for asking. This has the same processor as the MacBook. Granted, it does run just a hair slower. Just a hair. Same processor. Similar graphics. But you've got a better display. You've got 4 times as much RAM. Twice the solid state storage. And it's cheaper. By up to $200. $100 to $200 cheaper. If you're talking about performance, this is a better way to go. There are a lot of great uses for a MacBook. Obviously, if I were to come on here and say that you should pick a ThinkPad over a MacBook every time, then I'd pretty much be out of business because that's what my YouTube channel is about.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of cases where the MacBook is good. One of the things that I talk about when I review MacBooks is, you'll notice I don't say if you're shopping for a computer. I say you're shopping for a MacBook.
Mm-hmm.
When people shop for a MacBook, they're not necessarily shopping for the best cheap computer, the best cheap used computer that gives them the most value. They want a MacBook specifically that gives them the value. For whatever that may be. Video editing with Final Cut Pro, MacBook. Programming, you program on a Mac.
Yes.
Do you need a Mac to program?
You don't need a Mac to program, but I personally prefer it. It's closer to, I mean, it's a Unix-based operating system, so it's closer to
That's true.
Linux, and that's where a lot of the developer tools and all that happens. So I much prefer to program on a Mac. You don't need to. I just prefer.
And a lot of people do. A lot of people go out and get a 15-inch Core i9 MacBook Pro to program on a Mac. You don't need to do that. Mm-hmm. You don't need a Core i9 to program, but a lot of people prefer the experience. So I'm not going to discount that. But if you're looking at just straight apples to apples performance,
Apples to Lenovo.
Oh, but if you're talking straight apples to Lenovo's,
Thank you.
You're welcome. The performance and the value for the money that you're going to spend on the Lenovo is definitely better. If I were to bump up my budget and instead of picking similar performing computers and go for similar costing, so like $400, you could probably get a Haswell i7. You could probably compete with a 2013, like a late 2013 Retina MacBook Pro or a 2014. You could probably compete with that. And that would be a pretty sick, that you'd be paying like half as much money. This is a really obvious conclusion. All right, guys, a Mac is expensive. And if you want the best performance, a PC gives you better value. This is breaking news.
Wow.
I'm going to call The Verge, John Verge, creator of The Verge. I'm going to call him up on my phone right now, and I'm going to tell him this, because I don't think anyone's ever realized this before.
Certainly not all of your commenters.
Certainly not all of the commenters with, that like one profile picture that all of the people that are really rude have. I'll put a picture of it up on the screen. You know what I'm talking about. And every single time I get like a really mean, dumb comment, they have that profile picture. All right, so I guess our conclusion is...
Wait, let me guess. Is it a tie? Or is it inconclusive? Is it inconclusive? Are there merits to both?
Well, yes, of course there are. Of course there are.
Wow, who saw that coming?
I mean, pretty much everyone, I would think.
Not a definitive answer, just a comparison.
I mean, how can you definitively say?
If
we're talking about like a MacBook Pro compared to another MacBook Pro, you can make a pretty decisive decision. If I were to say, this MacBook Pro versus a 2011, this.
Yeah.
just buy this because it's going to be better and it's not going to break and explode. Okay, they don't explode, but like complete graphics meltdown, right?
Yes.
So that's definitive. I know it does sound like a cop-out, and it kind of is a cop-out, okay? I'm not going to lie. But I can't in good conscience sit here and say you have to spend more money for less value, or you have to buy an uglier, thicker device.
I can say that. Buy this one. Mine wins.
See, because this isn't your channel, and you don't have to deal with the comment section. Because whenever we do videos together, people are always super positive about you. They're like, oh, we love Noah. And then they're always like, kill Luke, burn him. Burn him at the stake.
So you're saying I should take over for you?
I think that's what we're saying. The conclusion is that Noah should take over my channel.
All right, leave a like in the comments.
Yeah, you can just do the conclusion. I'll just get out of here.
Okay.
You can wrap up the video.
The conclusion is that, like every other video on this channel, there is no conclusion.
Hey.
Both of these computers have their merits, and you should pick the one that suits your lifestyle best. I personally would choose the Mac because I'm a Mac guy myself. Are you zooming in on my face?
Just a bit.
Please, no one wants to see that. So, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Follow my Twitter account, or the muggers are going to kill my beautiful wife and my 2 children and my dog. And then I messed that up. All right, goodbye. I don't know.
That's the actual ending?
I don't know. What do you want me to say?
All right, that's the ending. No, that's it.
Okay.
The deal is done.